International Superstar Soccer 98. Italy versus Spain. The game is underway. He touches it on. He won't give it up. Deflection, number 10, number 2. A 1-2. It's in! Did you see that?